Hi, you're watching Asean Now, and this is the Weekly Wrap, where we bring the region's latest and most interesting news straight to you. First up, thousands of sky gazers flocked outdoors to witness the solar eclipse that swept across the region early Wednesday morning. The spectacle began at 7:20 a.m. Malaysian time. It peaked an hour later when 87% of the sun was obscured by the moon. This formed a bright orange crescent and cast temporary shadows over certain areas. In Indonesia, a total solar eclipse was visible for the first time in more than 2 decades at several hotspots across the nation. Locals marked the rare occasion with parties, tribal rituals, and prayers. Over to the Philippines, where authorities have impounded a North Korean vessel in response to tough new sanctions by the United Nations against Pyongyang's nuclear program. The vessel, MV Jinteng, has been docked at the Subic port northeast of Manila since last Thursday. It will not be allowed to leave until a probe required by the UN Security Council is completed. A government official said the sanctions were necessary to restrict the movement of vessels that may be used to transport equipment and weapons banned by the UN. However, the ship's crew have insisted that they are working for a Chinese company and are carrying a cargo of palm kernels for distribution to Filipino importers. In Myanmar, the National League for Democracy Party, led by Aung San Suu Kyi, has nominated her former aide and close friend Tin Kyaw as the country's next president. He is one of 3 nominees for the post, but is almost certain to get the nod as his party controls the majority in parliament. A vote is expected to take place next week, with the losing candidates taking up the position of vice presidents. Suu Kyi has been barred from becoming president by Myanmar's military-drafted constitution, but is expected to govern her homeland through a trusted proxy. Meanwhile, in Thailand, the government has ruled out banning water fights at this year's Songkran festival. This is despite a serious drought problem affecting the nation. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha said it would be impossible to ban water throwing, but has appealed to the public to conserve their water usage. He blamed past governments for failing to invest in proper piping and water distribution systems years ago. And lastly, in Malaysia, 2 suspected explosive devices found in the compound of the Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre turned out to be objects from a science experiment. The police bomb squad were called to the scene on Wednesday evening after a cleaner spotted the suspicious-looking objects. They cordoned off the area and destroyed the 2 glass bottles. However, the bottles were later revealed to be souvenirs which had been given to students who had visited PetroScience, a science discovery center located in the nearby Suriaki LCC Mall. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Khalid Abu Bakar tweeted that the souvenirs had been converted into experimental lamps by the students and left outside the convention center. Well, that's all we have for this week. Stay tuned next week for a fresh dose of the region's news. I'm Akil Yunus with the Weekly Wrap. Thank you for watching.